Planet of the Fakes, and Pig, Star, News, Brevard County Nuisance. Way to go. Love our sheriff and BCSO. We need a few in my neighborhood shamed. I'd love to see your hit list come our way in weekly episodes. Exclamation mark. Proud to live in Brevard, get Sheriff. We are so lucky to know you are on top of these dirtbags in Brevard. Stay safe all of our Leos and thank you for outstanding service. Finally, a lawman that is not afraid of doing his job. I salute you and the officers behind you, sir. A true hero in my book. And all your deputies as well. God bless. First of all, whoever rent or is buying that house, need to be checked, cause they should have a permit on how many people can stay there, and when family members and friends come to visit they should be respect that neighborhood and the owner shouldn't allow people to stay there that's not on the permit, that should be against the law. And before they rent or sell a house in that area they should have to sign a paper about the do's and don'ts of that area, and if they don't go by the rules they should get put out, no matter what. So you're doxing people now. And you've just tanked the property value of every home in that neighborhood. I smell a lawsuit. This is not how law enforcement works. It doesn't matter how bad them people are, it doesn't give you the right to call them names just cause you are police officer. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Do you not know how to investigate and obtain a warrant for arrest? This video shows your incompetency and the failure of your department more than anything. As much as I think you are a wonderful sheriff, why the hell did it take 100 trips to get your full attention, and why aren't they all already in jail? WTH is this doing on social media? Police all standing around giving a commentary on a particular resident. How many others did they do this to? Not right somehow. What happens to the new tenants when they move out? And this video is still circulating through social media. Over 100 times of going out to an address and you still haven't solved the issue. And then you make this video that wasted manpower that still doesn't net results. Seems odd. This is harassment. All of these police officers should be fired. I guess the right to privacy doesn't apply to people the cops don't like. How is this possibly legal? Lol at the public attempts of shaming because you obviously do not have any legal cause of action. Go do something better with our tax money, awesome police. Much respect for your stand on dealing with the troublemakers in your jurisdiction. Stay safe and keep up the great policing. Police officer. Oncoming police car sound like a serious drug problem that the sheriff only targets the end users. The poorest of the poor wouldn't want to waste actual police work on, I don't know, maybe the higher up criminals feeding the drugs to the junkies. This guy's a joke, just another do really nothing sheriff's office. If you can't see, they only ever target the bottom of the barrel, never the supply, because that's way too close to home. Archer Greg. Jeffrey Langford. I am a fashion photographer and designer who met a young lady 4 years ago that was addicted to opiates. This 5'10" bag of bones came to one of our events and went into opioid withdrawals on day 2. The things that went through my head, like scumbag and junkie almost, but not as bad as a sheriff, but they were there. Since she was staying at our location, I had to do something to get her well enough to travel back home to Chicago because we were in Savannah, Georgia. We had to call paramedics at 3 a.m. and I thought it would be over after they picked her up. That same morning, I got a call from her asking me to come pick her up. I went to the hospital and they had her sitting out front in a wheelchair covered up with hospital sheets. There she sat with rings under eyes and said, "There's nothing they can do, so please take me back to the model house." In disbelief, I went into the hospital and asked the nurse on duty, "What can I do?" She told me nothing because she's a junkie and she needs to get her stuff together on her own. I was shocked because I was expecting the hospital to help. Me being a black man and her a white woman living in our address, I was nervous as all hell that she was going to die on my watch and the police were going to start looking at me for my involvement. I was lost on which way to turn, so the magazine that I was working for gave me a tip and a place to go. To make a long story short, I received information on a clinic. They gave me the information necessary to reverse the hold that the prescription medication had on her so she could at least eat and drink fluids. So what I did was ask this clinic and other clinics, what should I look for and what is it that they find that helps the most? I found out that I was the problem because I lacked the knowledge to understand what was actually going on. I felt sad and embarrassed at my own self for judging an individual that I have absolutely no clue what was going on, but I spoke as if I were somehow better than this woman who actually came to me for help, and today if I didn't help. I fell in love with this woman and we have now been married for 4 years and she has been clean for 4 years. I heard the sheriff say something about Narcan. Narcan is normally used when an individual tries to quit and fights it for a few weeks. They can't take the pain that the withdrawal's brain so depending upon the environment they live in they may have access to take something to help ease the pain. That's when the majority of the overdoses take place, is when an individual tries to presume the level of the substance where they left off and the body is no longer at that level of tolerance any longer, and that's normally what causes the overdose. In order to beat an addiction, you need to know what got you there first. If you cannot fix "we got each of the diction," Narcan or harsh words will not help but only hurt. The sheriff and his crew needs help, the people in that house need help. America has only had the opportunity of 250 years to understand how to translate emotions into words. When we get angry like the sheriff, we tend to spew out hate, and that comes from an individual without enough information in his mind to be able to calculate a solution. The sheriff is a part of the problem that needs to change. The hypothalamus gland in the hippocampus regulate the pituitary gland, which provides chemicals that our body makes called oxytocins. These control our mood, sex drive, hunger and body functions. Directing words at an individual or standing in front of their house belittling them does not change any of these scientific facts. It just makes the sheriff look silly. I'm using voice to text and I have misplaced my classes, and I am not going to spend the time to correct things in this message, so please don't think I'm crazy lol. I will be sending an image of a magazine article of my wife backing up the story. Archer Greg, I'm not saying you're that guy. I'm saying it's not the structure, it's the constant ever-changing flow of low-life, disrespectful people that are in and out of this dope house. I had a sister who ran a house like this and Leo did all they could, it's the steady change of dirtbags. I feel for the neighbors. Horrible situation. Public shaming won't work, but at least the agency is doing something. I wish our sheriff would have done this in front of my sister's house.